Just a comment, a married couple, Joanne and Marty, came on Red Pill 78 and talked about Libya and Omar is it Gaddafi or Gaddafi? I always thought he was an evil man. I read the rest of your comment. I think that I always thought Yasser Arafat was not a good man. By the time he died, he was worth millions, and yet most of the people in Palestine were in refugee camps. I think it's one of those, his people did love him, but I think it's one of those, what is it called, a syndrome, where you identify with your abuser kind of thing. Damn it, I can't think of it. Oh, it's right on the tip of my tongue. But it's where you'll even defend your abuser, because there were things he could have done, and yet Israel at one point. Here, I have a couple pictures. So here's just one of those pictures. So people are hearing this term about open air prisons. This is 2009. So they've been saying this forever. They have. It's the same stuff. Besieged Gaza is still open air prison, resisting Israel's colonization of Palestine. So the thing is that again, when you have terrorist organizations running Palestine, then their agenda will be to tell the people that we want to free you, while wanting to annihilate Israel. This is a younger picture of Yasser Arafat. He created refugee camps. Now, they always blamed Israel for that, but yet when he died, he was worth millions. I mean, everybody, it was always talked about that he had millions, so why doesn't he give that to some of his people? Why doesn't he feed them? He didn't, but that they loved him because they saw him as he was going to free them, right? I think it was actually quite the opposite. I read here, Arafat and his movement operated from several Arab countries. In the late 1960s and early 70s, Fatah faced off with Jordan in a brief civil war. Forced out of Jordan and into Lebanon, Arafat and Fatah were major targets of Israel. 1978 and 1982 invasions of that country. Later in his career, Arafat engaged in a series of negotiations with the government of Israel to end the decades-long conflict between it and the PLO. These included the Madrid Conference. So Israel was hesitant about this. It also says here, Arafat spent much of his life committed to acts of terror against Israel in the name of Palestinian self-determination. Originally opposed to Israelis' existence, he modified his position in 1988 when he accepted UN Security Council Resolution 242. Arafat and his movement operated from several Arab countries. I just read that part. So Israel was hesitant to meet with them because they knew that he was part of Iran, part of a terrorist organization. And he came in with the desire to annihilate the Jews. So it's like, okay, so then years later, as he got older, he changed his mind. I mean, Israel did eventually they did meet with him. But, I would be skeptical of that too. You come in and you're telling your people who are praising you that you're going to free them by eliminating the Jews. And yet that's easy to do on a bunch of people that he's not feeding, and he's keeping poor, and he's keeping so poor that they are influenced by the Muslim Brotherhood, and he was part of the Muslim Brotherhood. And then they're influenced that, hey, you'll get 72 virgins if you put a suicide vest on and go into Gaza Strip and explode yourself, and then we'll give your family a bunch of money. So, I don't think he was a good guy. I'm sure that people that lived there saw him as a freedom fighter because they wanted a real leader. But any leader that's saying whatever you want to hear will look good. But he didn't do anything for his people. He didn't. He just, and I think that, yeah, you said something about that our government killed him. I read that they don't have any reasons to think foul play took place. I think he got sicker later in life. Now that, who knows? Israel could have killed him. I mean, who knows? I know that he went back on his word a lot too. So that would be, I mean, that would make me edgy as a country or the leader of a country if you came on the scene as a leader telling your people you're going to free them by annihilating the Jews. Yeah, that would make me a little sketchy of you, and then you're kind of, flip-flopping on where you stand. I think things actually improved somewhat once he was gone. But he did tell his people, which he should have just done from the beginning. Maybe he, maybe he was more reasonable as he aged, that, they should self-govern. But it was always chaos over there, and they lived in such poverty, and yet they were made to believe it's all the Jews' fault. It's all the Jews' fault. And then they create a crisis, then the Jews respond, and then the Jews look bad, like there's no, so, I mean, I think him not being there anymore was definitely a good thing, but that's how all these scarves came about. I believe so anyway. That's when I you saw him all the time is with him. He never was, this is a younger picture, but, yep, and that's him with the Palestinians. They loved him, but again, they didn't have any other leaders. He was telling them that they're going to, just like they would tell the kids, yeah, if you go and kill yourself, strapping on a suicide bomb vest, you'll have 72 virgins the moment you die. These are people that are desperate. They're hungry. They're living in refugee camps. He was worth like $74 million. So, and tied to the Democrat Socialist Party. So, like, again, this is what the Democrat Socialist parties do. They did it in Venezuela. When it's tied to the Democrat Socialist Party, terrorists will be tied to it pretty much. But they're there to destroy your country, but they're going to tell you that they're going to do such great things. They're going to bring universal health care. They're going to make education free. Yeah, they're going to do everything to destroy your country just like they do in every other country.